Have you ever wanted a vintage motorcycle, but think you can't afford one, can't restore one, lack the skill and resources, and don't even know where to begin restoring one? Well, I love old motorcycles, and I realize who doesn't. My name is Walter, and welcome to my channel. This is the inaugural video in a series of videos on restoring a classic vintage motorcycle. It's a beginner's guide, and I am a beginner, or more likely a novice now, and perhaps you are a beginner. What we're going to do is restore, but most likely preserve, a classic vintage motorcycle, one that is an absolute basket case. We'll preserve and restore it so that it would actually be better than when it left the factory, all the while being safe and reliable. And as the name of the video series indicates, we'll be doing it on a low cost budget. We want a beautiful, safe, reliable motorcycle for the least amount of investment without sacrificing anything. Who am I? I actually am a hobbyist. That is it. I'm not an expert, and in fact would classify myself as barely a novice. As a novice, I'm always looking for a resource to point me in the right direction as to how to repair and rebuild the motorcycle. So I'm giving credit now to people and resources that have been able to help me completely dismantle a motorcycle apart, confidently knowing that I can put it together back in good order. This is not going to be a series of, will this motorcycle run? This will be a series of, yes, it will run. What am I looking to do? I have benefited from so many people and resources in this hobby. As such, I'd like to share how I go about preserving these bikes. Yes, I use the plural. This all began for me over Thanksgiving 2022. I was looking for a project to do, and I happened to find a BMW Airhead. I fiddled with it, I worked on it, and I adjusted the valves, changed the ignition to electronic ignition, fussed with the timing a little bit, and changed the fluids. That is it. So I really actually purchased a bike that, even though it was not running, I did not really have to do much to make it a safe, reliable vehicle. So after completing that bike, I wanted to look in the horizon and perhaps expand my skill set. So in browsing through Facebook Marketplace, I saw a BMW R69 basket case for sale. And when I say basket case, I mean literally it was a basket case. It was in baskets. There was a frame and 3 baskets of parts. So I called the owner up, and he tells me he just sold it. Oh well. So I ask him if he has anything else, and he tells me that he has 3 Moto Guzzi basket cases. And again, in this case, basket cases meant 3 frames and multiple boxes of parts. I believe there are actually 15 boxes of parts. Well, I'd never really heard of Moto Guzzi at that point, but I Googled the model name and years, gave him a call back the next day, and a day or two later told him I was all in. Left for Alabama. I lived outside of Tampa, so rented a U-Haul, and for a few days, drove up to Alabama, drove back down, was less $2,000, but was a proud owner of 3 Moto Guzzi Eldorados Ambassadors, albeit in 15 different boxes. So what am I looking to do for in this channel? Well, from last Thanksgiving to now, which is July 2023, I've been tinkering and building Moto Guzzi motorcycles from various stages of assembly, normally totally disassembled motorcycles. And now I would like to share what I've learned by going through a total preservation and restoration of a vintage motorcycle. So I'm going to go through step by step the preservation and restoration of a vintage motorcycle. I'm actually going to attempt to make sure everything is recorded. Obviously, I'm going to record it in real time. I really don't want to speed it up. I will probably condense some videos, probably condense every single episode into multiple videos. I'll provide the documentation that I use. We'll point out where to get the parts. Obviously, I'm going to go through the sequencing of disassembly and assembly. And I'm going to tell you the preservation and restorative steps that I take. And of course, I'm going to keep a running balance of all the money spent on this project. The goal is really to save every piece of the bike and preserve and or restore it. Some items and parts, though, are going to have to be replaced. And we will replace said items and parts with actually far superior parts. So like I said, I'm going to be restoring a Moto Guzzi. So why would I select a Moto Guzzi? Well, number one, looks. They just look fantastic. When they're restored, they look spectacular. Availability. You should be able to find a basket case on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist right now. They're all over the place. Or join a Facebook group. There are 5 or 10 Facebook groups linked to Moto Guzzi or loop frames. These are loop frames that we're going to be doing. There are always bikes for sale, and there are always basket cases for sale. So you go to Facebook Marketplace right now or Craigslist right now, do a nationwide search. You're going to find a Moto Guzzi from 1969 to 1975 available right now. So make an offer. Price. You should be able to find a basket case for a reasonable price. I bought a complete basket case Eldorado Los Angeles Police Department bike for $800. I paid $500 to have it shipped. I'm going to show you what the bike looks like in a minute. Quality. These motorcycles are incredibly robust. The engines are solid. The transmissions are solid. Most of the components are solid. You are going to end up in a very sturdy, robust, reliable motorcycle. End of story. Parts availability. You're generally going to get any and every single part that you need. If you're missing a piece or if a piece is broken, you can get it at a reasonable price, mostly. Seats, especially if you get the solo seat, is $300. That is actually a pain. Specialized parts are expensive. That is a pain. But there's eBay, there's CrustyCycle.com, MGCycle.com, and Eurojam.com. Those are 3 sites that specialize generally in Moto Guzzi parts. You can generally find what you want there. And with those three sites, you're going to be able to get them really fast. The next is model similarities. Like I said, there are quite a few models of this one bike that we're going to be building that are really similar. Same parts, same general style. And I'm mentioning a V700. I haven't talked about that yet, but that is very similar to the bike we're going to be working on, as is an Eldorado. So the bike we're working on has a sister and a brother that is very similar. So there are many parts out there, and how one works on one bike, they kind of work on the other bike. Next, information. There's a lot of information out there. There are resources to help you along the way. Like I said, I'm going to go through absolutely everything. I'm going to sequence the assembly, the disassembly, the cleaning, the preservation, absolutely everything. I'm hoping that I actually rebuild the motor here. I guaranteed I'm going to build at least the top end. I'm not going to build the bottom end if I don't need to. A dirty little secret, the transmissions are relatively bulletproof. They are incredibly durable, very robust. We may not have to actually break into the case. I actually have 2 transmissions that I'm going to do rebuilds on anyway, so don't sweat that. Finally, skills. The skills that you learn in restoring a bike like this and preserving a bike like this will translate to other vintage motorcycles. The Ambassador has timing gears instead of a timing chain. I was watching a video of a 1947 Harley Davidson flathead WLA engine being rehabbed. I would have no problem rebuilding that engine at all right now. It has timing gears like Moto Guzzi and is so similar. Same for the transmission. So would I feel confident rebuilding a 1947 Harley Davidson flathead engine? Yes, I would. I worked my way through it, and if I got stumped, I know I could find the resource to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to show you what bike we are going to be building.